Portal Master 9351 here, and in this video, I'm going to be giving all of you a brief history of the Toys to Life genre as a whole. So, let's go back in time. Let's do the time warp again and jump back to, I believe, 2007, 2008-ish. I can't remember exactly. Basically, there was a three-part Spyro series. It also featured Cinder. It was the first appearance of Cinder. And it was called The Legend of Spyro. And so I believe it was Dawn of the Dragon, The Eternal Night, and some other third title. And it was basically Spyro, Sparks, and Cinder. It was in the last two. So that franchise ended after the trilogy, of course, did. And so Spyro pretty much went unused from the time that franchise ended and Skylanders started. But I figured that I may as well go ahead and talk about some of the limbo that you might not ever hear about that happened in between. So some of you may know this, some of you may not, but I figure I should go ahead and explain this to everyone. So originally, they thought, what can we do with Spyro that's never been done before? Let's take this kid-friendly, bubbly character that everyone adored in their childhood and make him into a gory video game where his claws are like razors and his teeth are like knives and he goes around and tears everyone to shreds. Serious, I'm not kidding. That's what they wanted to do originally. But they thought, that's a really stupid idea, to take a kid's character and make him into a vicious, man-eating, purple, actually he was going to be a dark purple, dragon. So they scrapped that idea entirely, and that was basically a whole year of R&D completely wasted. So then, someone came up with an idea. Let's make this game, and let's call it Spyro's Kingdom. So there was going to be 5 main characters that you could play as. Spyro would be a non-player character, and he would basically be who it revolved around. And these 5 characters would go and pretty much get quests from Spyro. The idea of Toys to Life was still not created. So essentially, what they did was, I'm going to get some characters from here, is they took prototype versions of characters that eventually evolved into these characters right here. There's another one that he's not actually in here. He never was actually made. So of course you had Spyro, but there was a character that looks a lot like the SSA Spyro's pose that was originally going to be a red dragon. And so after the idea was scrapped, they originally just redid the paint job and essentially the red dragon became Spyro. But the original red dragon that was to be one of the playable characters was not Spyro. Spyro and the red dragon were completely separate characters. And then they sort of became one. Oh, I dropped it. As the SSA Spyro. So I'm going to put him back. Oh my gosh! I'm so clumsy. Put him back. And I'm knocking camo over now. Oh my gosh. There were also 4 other characters. A prototype of Ghost Roaster, as can be seen right here. A prototype of Bash. A prototype of Zap, which you wouldn't even recognize. And a prototype of Boomer. The prototype of Boomer was known as Bomb Troll. Ghost Roaster is Ghost Eater. Bash is Rock Dragon. And Zap as the Slime, I think. There was another name for him, but that's all I can remember off the top of my head. I haven't seen the videos where I heard this stuff in a really, really long time. So, they pretty much were trying to do modeling, and they thought, hey, there's this cool new technology called 3D printing. Why don't we take these 5 characters and 3D print them? And they did that. And then someone was like, why don't we make it to where when you put these things on something, it registers it, and you can play as them. And the idea of Toys to Life with NFC communications was invented in that very moment. Spyro's Kingdom was scrapped, and development on a brand new game was started, called Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, which featured the original 32 characters that you see on the shelf right here. The idea of Toys to Life was invented, and this game, of course, came out in October of 2011 and was announced to the general public at the Toy Fair of 2011 and basically stole the show. So that launched pretty smoothly, and originally they were only $7, and they were very cheap because they were cheaper as $7 because Activision didn't think they'd be as popular as they actually ended up being, and so they all sold out during Christmas. And they realized how well they were selling, and they upped the price to $10 per figure. And that was when I got into Skylanders. I woke up on Christmas morning 2011 to find underneath my tree a 3DS copy of Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, which I still have the original box right here. That was when this collection started. So, around February 2012 was the Toy Fair, and that was when the next big, see what I did there, thing was announced. Skylanders Giants. Now, Toys to Life was not a fad like a lot of people thought it would. It was proving to become a reliable genre to use, and Skylanders Giants was born. Skylanders Giants featured 8 new regular-sized Skylanders, 8 new giant-sized Skylanders, which had a new capability. When you put them on the portal, they lit up. There were also 8 regular-sized characters that could do that as well. So the idea of Light Core was brought to Toys to Life, and so that was the big innovation for 2012. So in October 2012, the game launched, and Skylanders Giants was pretty smoothly launched. That is the only game so far to feature a Portal Owners Pack. Here is the box right there. And so, yeah, Skylanders Giants came out. So it was sometime in 2013. I'm not sure when it was, but Disney Infinity was announced. And I know the announcement of Swap Force came before then, but I want to take a moment to talk about Infinity right now. Disney Infinity was the first big competitor in the Toys to Life franchise, the only threat to Skylanders, and it didn't do much. But regardless, I need to talk about it. It was the first game in Toys to Life to bring in characters that already existed, excluding Spyro and Cinder, which did already exist. But it drew in characters not just from one franchise, but from multiple franchises. Well, I mean, Disney, of course, is one company, but it drew from all different worlds. The Incredibles, Pirates of the Caribbean, Monsters University, and Monsters, Inc. It drew from many others as well. Cars, you name it, they pretty much got it if it was classic Disney. So it became the first true competitor, and it was actually scheduled for release 1 month earlier than it was actually released due to reasons unknown. And even though it happened before, we're going to now retcon back to Skylanders Swap Force. In February of 2013, the third Skylanders game was announced as Toys to Life was really becoming a dominant thing in the video gaming industry. Skylanders Swap Force wasn't about size. It wasn't about fancy lights. It was about what the figures could do and how they were special. These characters were no normal Toys to Life characters. They could split in half. And they were swappable and unstoppable, as is said in the trailer. You could take one aspect of your favorite character and another aspect of your other favorite character, and you could combine them like this, essentially. And how was this done? With fancy magnets and a bit of wizardry of coding. Of course, a new portal was introduced so that these characters were usable. So, Skylanders Swap Force was a pretty good launch, but something was different about the way it was developed. Instead of being developed by both Vicarious Visions and Toys for Bob, it was solely developed by Vicarious Visions. And so it was their first solo project. And I think the results were interesting. But more on that in a bit. So that was Skylanders Swap Force. And that, of course, launched in October of 2013. Now, sometime in 2014, I'm going to go out of order with the 2014 thing just a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about Amiibos, because I couldn't find anything on the internet that said exactly when the Amiibos were originally announced. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about them. Amiibos was Nintendo's crack at the toys to life aspect of the video gaming genre. They reigned supreme in most aspects of children's gaming for many years throughout my life. But what they had fallen behind was a simple, ingenious design. Toys to life. So what did they do? They came up with their own idea for Toys to life. It was very similar to, it was kind of like Skylanders meets Infinity with another special twist on it. They took characters and essentially used the original idea that Skylanders had with Toys to Life, and they drew all different characters from all different franchises into their Amiibo line. So you could have a Ness character and Marth in the same line of toys, which is very similar to what Disney Infinity did. But they handled it in a totally different way. They didn't make one game for Amiibos like Disney Infinity did and Skylanders did with only one game per year. No, no, no. They made them compatible with most Nintendo games. I can use a Link Amiibo in multiple games if I actually had one. Smash Bros. And then any of the Amiibo compatible Zelda games, such as Hyrule Warriors, and I believe Majora's Mask is actually compatible with Amiibos. Don't hold me to that. I don't have that, but I think it is. So that was definitely a new concept. So it rolled around to Toy Fair time, again, retconning back to Toy Fair, and there had been no news on Skylanders 4, which was very strange. And we soon learned that Skylanders 4 wasn't going to be at the 2014 Toy Fair. And we thought, that's really weird. Is there not going to be a game? But we were very mistaken. Shortly after, Disney Infinity announced their second game, Disney Infinity 2.0, which drew in many new characters. It drew in new Marvel characters. It drew in classic characters, and it was basically an expansion to the already massive Disney Infinity world, expanding it to yet another franchise, Marvel, which is, I have to admit, a pretty good idea. So, shortly thereafter, Disney Infinity 2.0 was announced. We got news that on the April the 23rd, Skylanders 4 would be announced. And so it rolled around. I mowed my lawn and got in around 6, took a shower, got in at 6:30, and stalked every corner of the internet until it was revealed. And I got the 7th view on the reveal trailer for Skylanders Trap Team and the first comment, people. The first comment! Let's try to do that 2 years in a row, shall we? So, Skylanders Trap Team was, again, it wasn't about the characters. Well, it sort of was. It was sort of about the Trap Masters, but it was not necessarily about size or what the figures could do in the real world. No, no, no. This was about how you could take not toys to life, but put life into toys. You could take any given blank trap, pick these 3 up, for example, in GameStop today. Didn't have time for an unboxing video, so figured I'd just piggyback it onto another video. You could take any of these traps, and when you beat a villain, you could now put these traps in the portal, and you can make the villain fight for you. Like, for example, right now, this trap has nothing in it. But if I was to go beat a villain, like Chef Pepperjack, I could put him in these traps, and then I can play as them. It was the first idea to not put toys to life, but to put life into toys. So that was the way that Skylanders Trap Team innovated. And then from a non-innovation standpoint, it also introduced two new elements, of course, light and dark. So it's 2015 now. Let's back up just a few months. It's only the end of May, after all. Let's back up a few months. Nintendo, of course, announces more Amiibo waves, and that's no surprise considering they have a massive line and they're trying to spread it out as much as they can. No biggie, no surprise. Again, the Toy Fair rolls around, and there's no news. Not even a minor leak with new characters in it for Skylanders 5. Nothing of that sort. But around April 13th, I believe, we get an interesting thing. The domain name, SkylandersBattlecast.com, has been registered, and we still don't know what that means. Shortly thereafter, we get an announcement of a brand new game, the fourth major competitor in the Toys to Life industry. LEGO Dimensions! LEGO Dimensions is a brand new game that basically allows you to construct your toys and then import them into the digital world. Pretty cool stuff. And again, it draws from multiple franchises. Back to the Future, Doctor Who, let's see, DC Comics, Wizard of Oz, classic LEGO play sets, newer LEGO play sets, and the LEGO movie, of course. So there's that, the fourth major competitor. But what made this interesting, it's not one game, and it doesn't spread out across multiple games, but is in fact one game that can go for many years. Rather than buying one disc and then another disc and then another game year after year after year, or with Nintendo buying a variety of games and being able to use them in all different types of games, instead you buy a $100 starter pack and you merely download the additional content onto your console. So that is how LEGO Dimensions innovated in the Toys to Life industry. Fast forward a little more. We get a prequel comic about Skylanders 5 called Skylanders Rift into Overdrive. Still makes no sense today. Fast forward more. We get a leaked image of a fire Skylander with a motor at the bottom, with a copyright on the bottom that says 2015. Still don't know what that means. But then, a little ways after, a little bit before, I'm sorry, I'm getting my timeline confused. A little bit before the Rift into Overdrive comic, after the Rift into Overdrive comic was leaked, but before the Fire Skylander, we got another reveal. Disney Infinity 3.0. But rather than bringing in Marvel or more of the same, it brought in Star Wars. Disney Infinity 3.0 introduced many new Star Wars related characters. It introduced characters from the original trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, or 4, 5, and 6. And then it also introduced from the newest trilogy, 1, 2, and 3. And then it's also introducing characters from the newest of the trilogies, but only the 7th movie currently, because that's the only one that's coming out anytime soon. As well as more Marvel characters and more classic characters. And Disney says that they're now done with the original launch. And when they say the original launch, they were basically using these 3 years to try to build up a solid ground. And then they're going to try to build up from there. What that means for the future is yet to be seen. This is a history, not a prediction of the Toys to Life future. But anyways, shortly thereafter, of course, we get the Fire Skylander leak. And then after that, we get something that says that the official reveal of Skylanders 5 is coming June the 3rd, baby! June the 3rd! Very soon. Wednesday of next week. I can't wait to see what it is. And I'm sure that you can't either. I just wanted to spend this time, though, to give you guys a brief history of Toys to Life. Because some of you might not know it, and some of you might just be recently getting into Toys to Life. So I just wanted to let you guys know this. This has been Portal Master 9351. As always, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in my other videos, and I'll see you especially on Wednesday and the days following, because I'm going to make a ton of videos. Thanks for watching, everybody. Goodbye!